Hello, friends. As you can see, I love Japan. I've never been, but my mother spent a lot of time there in her youth. My grandmother was enamored with the culture, and there was a good number of traditions that I had as a kid that were inspired by Japan. I wouldn't say I'm obsessed.
I used to be an anime otaku.
Oh.
I just really like the vibe and the culture. I'm pretty American as far as anyone's concerned. If you hadn't realized, I'm playing Ghostwire Tokyo for the first time ever on hard mode. This was before I had the courage to blind play games on their actual hardest difficulty, something that's coming up in future videos. Let's get right into it. We open on a bustling, brilliant lit metropolis of Tokyo. Now, I'm no expert, but driving a motorcycle rapidly through the rain is probably a good way to get dead. And spoiler alert, we then see that there's somebody floating above us, attempting to take over living people's bodies, but we're freshly dead. That's a better bet. It seems as though our wounds are exuding black smoke, and we're reasonably concerned about this. The dude bros that attempt to help us are also reasonably concerned. We then start hearing a voice in our head. Great. And there's a mist that is making people become a pile of clothes. Great. We are impervious to the mist, but that's actually great. We witness the worst parade ever. No floats or any camp whatsoever. And a weird dude shows up on screen, who then takes the souls out of the piles of clothes better than tied.
It's got to be tied.
The voice in our head says that we're dead and that we have to obey him. We have unfinished business with our sister in the hospital, so we need each other. And we say,
I don't take orders from you.
Which seems to activate the voice in our head's kink. Once we make a tacit agreement to endure each other's company, the love children of Slenderman and Mary Poppins start attacking me. For some reason, I have green shooty things coming out of my fingers, and we can take care of them. I'm terrible at aiming right now, and watching this back now that I'm a few hours into the game makes me cringe. But we're off to the hospital to save my sister. The streets of Shibuya are beautiful and vibrant, even though, everyone's dead. There's a weird trash thing that looks like an oil spill in our way, so bam! The hospital is notably creepy, opening up with an empty baby carriage, so that's messed up. And I run around not punching these items to get more ammo. Jeez, I really did not know how to play this game yet. We find that all these creepy spirits are
gathering up souls that have been separated from their bodies.
For what?
To drag them to the underworld. Or maybe just devour them.
So great. Now, this is supposed to be a stealth tutorial, but I go in guns blazing, which is not the correct move here. We learn the creepy spirits are called visitors, and that they're drawn to places like this. Like most things in the game, this isn't really explained, nor does it have to be. I imagine it's all the death that's in the hospital. I find some snacks and quickly begin learning that I don't know how to play this game. Things go very poorly as I keep missing and therefore running out of my ether and keep needing to try and find more. As time goes on, I get slightly better at managing this, but the game does a lot to try and make you feel like you're at a deficit most of the time. Maybe because I'm blind playing this on hard. Because I didn't listen to the sneak tutorial, I learn it myself here. I teach this visitor that it's important to get off the phone every once in a while, and the voice in my head gets a bad feeling. Odd things start to happen once we enter the cafeteria, which sucks because all I really have to eat are snack foods. We start seeing our sister on fire, which I don't think is a metaphor, and we manage to get into her room. It turns out that Mari actually has a pretty big hospital room. Creepy mask guy is standing over our sister, and we don't like that. But it turns out there's other creepy people in other creepy masks, and they all suck. Creepy mask guy then fists my chest, and apparently this is enough to gravely injure me. We wake up after this ordeal in a field of red flowers, about to die. The voice in my head says that he can take our body and get our sister. We would have to let him take over. Finally, we trade names, and his name is KK. He
gave up my real name.
But KK? What the hell could that stand for? Akito, our protagonist, is still alive despite being taken over by KK. In our memory space, we find out that Mari didn't ever lock the windows because apparently she couldn't figure out how to unlock them, thus getting caught in the fire, I guess. Weepy McGee, that's what I'm going to call him now, is apparently trying to do a ritual with my sister. Gross. But we can't fight him just yet. We're not strong enough, even with our green shooty things. Now, I start punching the oil trash instead of wasting my power on it. Anyway, once we exit the hospital, we begin Chapter 2, Trouble, as if that wasn't already apparent. KK says that communication would be cut off from the outside, and I have to ask, what the hell is going on outside of here? Did Shibuya just disappear in fog and everyone was like, screw that, we're not checking it out at all? That actually makes a lot of sense. Maybe I'll find out later. Again, I'm playing this blind, and as of this script writing, I haven't actually beaten the game. KK has been after Weepy McGee for quite some time, and that is in fact why he's dead now. Or like, physically dead. We find a Torii gate with some Slendermen under it. I deal with them as I slowly become better at this game, and cleanse the gate, removing the hazardous fog. After obtaining the Katashiro, we prevent more visitors from taking spirits away in their spirit box. Using the Katashiro, we absorb the spirits and take them to safety in the phone booth. And this becomes a frequent way for us to get experience points. KK explains that by doing this, once we remove the fog, these spirits should be able to return to their clothing. Sure. In a vision, we see Weepy McGee spouting some edgelord crap.
Only I hold the key to these souls' salvation.
Ed, the man responsible for the spirit repository within the payphones, has apparently disappeared after everything went down with the fog. We're just hearing recordings of him. After a fight and a talk with a friendly Nekomata, who is a cat that is running a convenience store. Listen, I know that this stuff is based on Japanese folklore and traditions, and I'm not trying to make fun of it. It's amazing. It's perfect for a video game setting, and I am loving every second of it. This will be the first of many. Screw Xbox and their idiotic CEOs. Anyway, we get to KK's apartment, removing the seal on the door. I'm curious, did he lose his name before he got the apartment? Does his lease say KK? During our conversation, KK says probably one of the corniest lines ever.
Let's just say I was one of this country's guard dogs, but I ran with a pack of strays.
Ooh, yeah, real cool, KK. We find KK's spirit bow and observe the pack of strays that KK used to run with, and comment on his terrible cleaning habits.
Seriously?
Oh yeah? You want to do it?
So, all of Shibuya is both blocked off and infested with that fog. KK isn't concerned about the body count because obviously that's just not important. We head outside and we're trapped in the apartment complex and find that they have trapped us in a barrier and intend to crush the building. These barrier stones are key to getting away. Things get very trippy as we enter apartments and shoot 2 more stones.
That's the core. Flash it!
After escaping the apartment, we find a Patronus on the streets of Shibuya. KK seems surprised that we can see this too, but isn't he supposed to be an expert on this stuff? Shouldn't he know what we can and cannot see? Whatever, we use our spectral vision to see that this guy has the worst Patronus, a human being. Following it leads to an after photo of your lungs on cigarettes called corruption. We're able to get rid of it, but find that the guy that has made the barrier had escaped. KK suggests that we head to a shrine nearby. So after exploring the city and finding this statue, we grapple up a Tengu to get to the top of buildings for this next Torii gate. After finding the ghosts, they're just ghosts, like people covered in sheets. Don't know what else to say about them. We cleanse this gate and get ourselves another Katashiro. I decide to do a side mission where there's a building that's covered in oil spill trash, but before entering, I decide to remove the Slenderman from outside. There's also a new enemy with a wasp nest head that shoots very slow projectiles at me. After taking them out with a bit of difficulty and a lot of cowardice, we enter this ill-defined building. Is it an office? A school? The guy here is concerned about the water. Was this a water treatment office? Speaking of the water guy, we need to go find out exactly what is wrong with the water. That way, his spirit will be able to rest. Wait, do the spirits that we lay to rest return to their bodies when everything is fixed? Or do they go to the phone booth? We enter the haunted bathhouse with the baths that are full of blood. I don't think that's normal. And discover that the stools are preventing us from continuing. After turning around and going through the door, we get caught in a little battle with visitors. The corruption has sent me to an arena where I do my best to dispatch all the ghoulies in here. In these arena battles, I try to corral all the enemies into a line so that I can just shoot and hit something without having to be too accurate. Sometimes this works, but no matter what, you've got to keep moving. I'm horribly underpowered right now, with only one element to attack with, and not a lot of other perks. Eventually, I'm able to make it out of the fight and cleanse the bathhouse. As we leave, KK still keeps being all philosophical with us.
A river never stops flowing. The water's never the same.
Like, dude, already got a lot of concepts that we had to come to terms with really quickly. Can you try not to pile it on? We take care of these headless schoolgirls here and deposit more spirits in the phone booth, getting another message from Mari. The man concerned about the water is no longer concerned and is now free. I've said it before, but seriously, this atmosphere is amazing. I've never been to Japan. I want to go to Japan, but this game is vibrant and alive and makes me feel like I'm there. Thanks, Bethesda. This old woman needs help finding her Zashiki Warashi, a spirit who has been stolen away. Sure. Within the household, we hear the spirit weeping. We use our spirit sight to reveal a hidden room. The cursed landlord tries to stop us from taking her, but we seal him away. We offer crackers to the spirit, who is creepier than I thought, and we see the old lady and her have been reunited. The Zashiki Warashi gives us a Magatama, which we'll use to upgrade ourselves in the future. We help a dog that makes quite a mess. And we search the area for anything useful while taking out a few visitors before clearing some corruption. The shrine we need to clear is larger, so we have to cleanse 3 Torii gates in total. There are many of these Slendermen and headless teens guarding the area, but they're fairly easy to clear even though I completely fail a stealth check. I do cleanse all the gates, and after saying a quick prayer, I get the power of fire. This is the best element in the game, and I will fight whoever says otherwise. The only downside is that I don't have many available shots. I meet a tanuki, which is a raccoon, apparently, and like Linda Belcher, we become fast friends.
It's Big Baby Pudding Snatch and Little King Trashmouth and his husband Gary. All of my mommy's friends are here. Yeah.
He tells us to look for his friends hiding all around the city. I find one nearby easily. Spoiler alert, at the end of this, I think I found like 5, so don't expect this to be a 100% run. KK gets defensive about being a cop.
Sure was. Why? Hate cops.
And I decide to help the spirit who had a cursed doll that belonged to his sister. It basically killed him, and now he's stuck. The doll won't let him move on. We track the doll through the city to a rooftop. The doll speaks and asks us to cleanse a straw doll, which is cursing the talking doll. After a few quick hand motions, we get rid of the straw doll to find out the man's sister was stuck inside the talking doll. She had been trying to keep him safe from the curse, but was unable. We help them both move on. Speaking of moving on, we have another spirit to assist. This time, it's a haunted umbrella. The spirit is called a Karakaza's Kozo, and is pretty funny looking. We have to sneak up on it to absorb its power, and we give the spirit their umbrella back. We get followed around by a couple of dogs, but unfortunately I have no dog food, so this in retrospect might be wasting the prayer that I just spent $500 on. Maybe not, but I don't know. Another spirit requires our assistance. I'm like the opposite of Ghostbusters.
Jerk that guy off. Busters!
I don't know. I have to search for the hole that swallows up everything. And I could make like the 90s and do a Yo Mama joke, but I have a little class, okay? We find out that in this building, there used to live a hoarder. This could be contributing to this portal, which I guess is the hole that sucks up everything. The house is a mess. The flies buzzing around make my skin crawl. And we chase this ghost around, waving our hands in a threatening manner until we're able to confront this greedy specter. After sort of a lengthy fight, we clear the house of evil spirits. You couldn't pay me enough to clear this house of anything else. I decide it's time to start clearing some gates, so we make our way through the city, and we're jump scared by my ex-girlfriend, the overzealous gardener. It's a quick fight right, and we cleanse the Torii Gate, getting our final element, water. This sends a blade of water out in a wide path, but doesn't have a lot of range. It becomes more useful as I begin to fight more enemies at once. We fight our way through the city again, finding a useful statue and some new enemies. Not So Slenderman and demonic Morton Salt Kid. Up the Rainbow Road stairs and speak with the spirit about a kappa. I do know a little bit about these. They're like turtles with bowls in their heads. Of course, even though the concept is kind of cute, I think they can range from pretty harmless to downright terrifying. So, of course, we're going to go see what's what. There's a little boy spirit upstairs that has called out the kappa and is currently stuck. We have to use a cucumber,
or as they call it in Jamaica, cucumba,
and run behind a statue so the kappa will show up. We have to stay hidden until he starts to eat the cucumber. After a Scooby-Doo hiding sequence, we stealth kill the kappa and rescue the boy. Well, his spirit. I'm pretty sure he's already dead. We still tell him not to mess with yokai, so are these people dead? It's very unclear in the game, or maybe I'm just not paying enough attention. We continue our ascent to the top of this building by taking the elevator. Now, this enemy has a great sense of style. The accessorizing of the umbrella and the hammer. I'm going to call him Trendyman. Trendyman is a tougher enemy. No matter though, he's dealt with and gives us a ton of cash. At the top, we're attacked by a bunch of visitors protecting the gate. Despite their best efforts, the gate gets cleansed and we pick up a stun talisman. These I don't actually use until much later in the game. I should have been using them much more, but honestly, you could probably beat the game without using them at all, even on hard mode. The overzealous gardener is back and is still mistaking me for a shrub. After relieving her of her services, it's time for us to go even higher. All while taking care of the visitors and saving some spirit blobs. Oh, I forgot to mention this enemy. I'm not exactly sure what they're supposed to be, like a scary teacher, crossing guard. I seem to remember my teachers having giant cleavers. It was the 90s. On the way, I get my first prayer beads, which are your buffing equipment in this game, making my wind power stronger. Checking the binoculars, we see the guy who trapped us in KK's apartment complex going into the subway. We have a flashback of what happened to KK in his battles with Weepy McGee. We have no fear of death, so we just jump down off the building and make our way to the subway entrance. On our way deeper, we run into a few visitors that we dispatch easily, following the subway tracks until we find this cistern-looking area. And look, Mary Poppins is here! It's two videos that reference Mary Poppins, and I swear I've only seen that movie once. This group was apparently working in secret. But did they build this entire place? I have questions about this, but I'm going to put a pin in that as we arrive at our first boss battle.
Must be guarding the place. Good sign we're on the right track. Let's make him talk.
The enemy for this battle has all the same tricks that I do, all the same elements, and most of the same moves. By all accounts, this is the first boss, shouldn't be that difficult, but I wasn't able to get the timing right for his ground pound attack. Once I did, I just shot everything that I could at him, and because I have the same powers, it's easy to tell what's about to happen based on the color of his ability. After defeating Weepy's goon, we hit its mask off, revealing that it's actually KK's body that Weepy is using for his nefarious deeds. KK doesn't want to kill himself, but I thought he said he was already dead, and that this is just his body being used. Whatever, it doesn't really matter because KK's body burps and we're separated from him, and he gets himself locked into one of those spirit boxes. In a flashback, we see that Akito is having some trouble connecting with his sister when it comes to his parents' death. She says,
Nothing's gonna change if you won't face it.
and okay, but they're gone. Nothing's gonna change after he faces it either. Listen, everybody grieves in their own way. We shouldn't be putting this all on Akito. Akito awakes, and KK is indeed gone. And so are our powers. Akito resolved to go back to KK's safe house to figure out where to go next. Without my powers, this becomes more of a stealth game. It's simply not plausible for me to take out all of these enemies with my bow. Once outside, we just run away from enemies until we make it back to the safe house. Upon entering, we're greeted by Skrillex. Just kidding. Her name is Rinko. She ran with KK's crew. She tells us that KK is still connected to us. So if we rescue him and get the powers back, we can continue to save Mari. We're also giving KK's wallet with pictures of his family that we need to bring back to him. Our connection to KK comes out as this smoky tendril, and we follow it to a shrine guarded by a bunch of visitors. Despite my attempts to be sneaky, I fail and have to rely on my bow and arrow to get by. As you can see, I'm not the best shot, but I prevail and find where KK is being held. And he is, as always, super gracious.
You stopped for drinks? Took long enough.
This conversation reveals that KK's family is dead, or maybe just his wife. Either way, we begrudgingly establish an agreement. KK and Akito want the same things, so there's no point in us attempting to go our separate ways. After KK is absorbed again, we also get his trendy clothes and a new ability called Wire In. It's basically your standard berserk mode. Damages enemies within a certain radius, enemies move slower, and we hit harder. This makes the fight quite easy, and we see that time is running out for Mari as Weepy's plan starts to come to fruition. This creates a pillar of light and reveals our next destination as we enter Chapter 3, Connection. Can I stop and say something here? This is hard mode. I've checked it multiple times to make sure that I was playing this on hard. And I guess it's challenging, but not to the point where I've died a lot. I don't want to complain that it's easier than I anticipated, especially with all the pain that I have planned in the future, but it is. We're on our way to Mari, fighting ghosties and cleansing gates along the way to clear the fog. When we open the map, we see that there are a myriad of new side quests to do. Of course, I'm going to do most of them. Interestingly, I think the only side quest I skip by the end of this game is the one that's most important to the story. Spoiler alert. First, we have to find a spirit who needs to use the toilet, but someone is in there making noises. Now, I didn't know that they have Taco Bell in Japan, but judging by the noises this guy is making, they most certainly do. I search for not one, but 2 rolls of toilet paper for this man, who wipes until, I wish I was kidding, his anus bleeds.
I think there's blood.
This does put his spirit to rest, and we complete likely the grossest side quest of the game. I'm trying to think of a grosser quest. If you have one you remember, let me know. We grab the phone and touch base with KK's friend with the Skrillex haircut, Rinko. She says that she's glad KK's okay, but he's dead. Aren't they both dead? So what's her definition of okay? Either way, she tries to tell us where the fog is coming from, and KK just doesn't trust it. He doesn't think that Rinko would help him, and I mean, I don't know their history, but we don't exactly have any other leads.
Why would the moon be vibrating unless it's a hollow object?
We need to find 3 spots with a clear view of the moon. While we do that, though, we run into the spirit who is almost suffocated by a white cloth. But she can't be suffocated because she's a spirit? Are they dead or not? Either way, a sentient, violent cloth still seems like something worth investigating. So we explore, and after finding it, we follow it and absorb its power. Running around the city, we find this gentleman who said he had a repair job in the building. But of course, there's something wrong with it. People disappearing and all that. Taking the elevator up to the 4th floor, we find an interesting yokai that disguises itself as a wall. With our spirit vision, we dispatch the yokai and investigate the room. Now that the yokai is cleared, we speak with the spirit and let him know that the mystery is solved. Back to the rooftops to get some proof that we have space stations on the moon for Ed. Getting to the locations is a process, but after getting the scans, we return to the phone booth and turn in our research. And for that, we just get a rant from Ed about reality or whatever.
Now, this sounds absolutely insane, and I'm aware of how this sounds. But if you are of the same mindset, you could potentially come to the same conclusion.
We run across a spirit who's concerned about a cursed cherry blossom. It's blooming red and preventing the other cherry blossoms from growing. It would seem as though there's a body buried under it that's causing all of this trouble. Just a quick aside, this is real Japanese mythology and folklore. It's amazing that it's woven into the game in a way that doesn't feel forced or corny. Maybe because the premise of this game is insane, but still, I feel like I'm learning, if that makes sense. Cleanse the cherry blossoms, and they finally bloom again.
Oh, they're in full bloom.
We dodge the creepy parade and get a dog to show us where a statue is. After speaking with this cat in the alleyway, they alert me to the vending machine, which turns out to actually be a raccoon. Then we follow Rinko's spirit trail to a locked door. I don't know why I thought that Spirit Sight would be able to let us know that the door was locked ahead of time, but whatever. We have to find another way in. So we go back behind the building, we find this huge screen, and I'm curious, is this just for the people who come in behind the building? Like, why is this here? There's a door on the roof where we can access the building. Heading down the stairs, we start getting cut off by shutters. Why is it always the shutters? Why the hell are these things here? I have to find the switch to open the path, which leads to another shutter. After heading through this office and seeing the control panel blocked by corruption, we find another one of those weird wall yokai and immediately destroy it so that we can clear the corruption. This angers a few visitors, but I remind them that they are merely tourists in the world of the living. We get the shutter open and learn about Rinko's study of the mist. The hallways start to look abnormal, and we come across another type of umbrella-clad enemy. This guy is large, heavily, and luckily, I know how to retreat. Cowardice prevails, and we're led down the hall by a bunch of ghastly newspapers because, yes, print is dead. We work our way through this fever dream as objects begin forcing themselves into human shapes, and we're attacked by a convenience store. Farther along, we find Rinko working on what is apparently making the mist appear in the mortal world. Because she's trying to hack it, enemies converge, and we're responsible for keeping her safe. KK mentions that it looks like they knew we were coming. Telling. I do manage to die here once, which is remedied by a well-placed wire-in ability, which allows me to make pretty quick work of the rest of the enemies here, including another Trendyman. Because of this battle, we're able to find more Torii gates and clear more of the fog. Or at least that's the intent, because we get sealed into the area. We're forced to find these stones and destroy them while avoiding the murderous gardeners in order to escape. KK still blames Rinko for all of this and has questions for Ed, but apparently I need a special telephone card. A telephone card. When we ask KK about this, his answer is...
It's a thing with Ed. Ask him.
Unsatisfying. Is this the best way for these guys to communicate? We also run into a man who's concerned about a woman peeking out from behind a corner. I don't know why this would prevent him from moving on, even if she's a yokai. This is a Roku bee, which is fun to say, but unnerving to look at. Just down the road, this long-necked demon lady holds a lantern, luring us around corners and up ladders. We grab her power, and Akito gives us a look at his humor.
That was a pain in the neck.
Hey, all's well that bends well.
Back to our mission to find a phone card. Luckily, there's a friendly dog here who knows where it is. After which I run into a brilliantly named pizza place and find the different phone booth and get a new objective. A girl asks for our help in finding her boyfriend that might have been cursed by a building in which there have been some suicides. Indeed, this looks like a cursed building. And after removing the wall yokai, we find a portal inside. I'm not sure why I go through. Why can't we just find a door? There's a specter here to welcome us, although I would probably not give this interaction a positive review.
You're next! Now you die and replace me!
You're gonna have what I would refer to as a Yelp disaster.
Moving deeper into the building, there's another spirit using chairs to prevent our progress. So I clear the room and face another specter, which removes the chairs. The next specter is locked behind these glass doors. While I would just break the glass and get him, this is a video game, and we need to find another way in. The key isn't far, hiding in the bathroom. Another specter down, and we keep battling and cleansing until we find the boyfriend that we were sent here to find. The source of the curse is above us, and of course it runs away, forcing us to continue through the building, being blocked by chairs again, and after a visitor fight, we cleanse the evil spirit that's been causing this curse. The boyfriend turns into a normal spirit, and it sounds like we admonish him for not killing someone.
But I just couldn't bring myself to kill someone.
That's good of you, but you're keeping someone waiting.
But whatever. Him and his girlfriend are together again, and they die happily ever after. Finding the parking lot that Ed mentioned, we're introduced to a visitor that is pure nightmare fuel. I hate these things and did not realize that they'll eventually fall and chase you on foot. I do everything in my power to make sure that this thing does not close distance on me. There's a recording that appears to be left by Ed in which Rinko goes after someone unknown and tells Ed to get out of Shibuya. KK tells us to go to the Shibuya station and get something that Rinko might have left in a dead drop there. On our way, we help out an old lady spirit and her Kodama, an adorable little guardian that we have to keep safe from visitors. I'll also find the location of an Oni, or rather a dog that can lead me to an Oni. I don't have any Kibidongo to give to the dog. Kibidongo, which is a real name of a real thing, and I want to try it. Unfortunately, I have to come back to this quest a little later. We also return to the hospital to find that a girl on the 4th floor had trouble after getting eye surgery and was in a lot of pain when she died. Our job is to give her some peace. After fighting through the hospital, we find Misaki. Apparently, after her eye surgery, she kept seeing a scary lady after she closed her eyes, which is awful. So she couldn't sleep because she's seeing whatever the donor's eyes saw before they died. And I have a question. Are hospitals just like this? People die of haunted stuff and they're just like, oh, well, it's a hospital. They must have been sick. Searching the nurse station, we find evidence that the staff knew of the haunted room that was killing people. Just close it, they said. No need to investigate further. With the passcode for the locked OR, we can attempt to clear this haunting, which reveals itself to us rather immediately. There appears to be an evil spirit haunting here. We find Owada, who was the eye donor, who was being haunted by the creepy lady before Misaki was. Turns out it was just a gardener again that we eliminate with relative ease, thus freeing both Owada and Misaki, sending them safely into the afterlife and cleansing the hospital. Another spirit requires our help as they heard a story of a subway train that takes you to a stop that shouldn't exist. Nobody comes back from it apparently. Obviously, we gotta go check this out. After finding the haunted car, we board it and are taken to a spectral train station with corruption and my favorite visitor hanging there. Oh boy, so excited to fight this thing again. There are plenty of resources in this arena, and I'm able to prevail pretty quickly. Talking to the spirits freed by the corruption, I find out that I'm actually not close to being done here, taking on various Slendermen and Trendymen. My biggest mistake here was assuming that I was going to be safe after this battle. I was legitimately shocked when I was attacked by the overzealous gardener's sister, who was waiting for us at the train station. She's pretty mad that we broke up with the overzealous gardener, but listen, I'm not an outdoorsy person. I'd rather just hire somebody to do our gardening. I would say that makes us pretty incompatible. Sure, I could have done something more honorable than breaking up through Facebook Messenger, but still, I don't think I deserve to be murdered for it, and I am. Second time around, I'm able to beat the gardener's sister, cleansing the curse from the train car, allowing the spirits to be freed after they get to the train station. Here I was thinking that Kibidongo was something that I needed to find, something that was special. Nope. The Cat Mart has them readily available, and I am probably wealthier in the game than I am in real life. After getting the Kibidongo, I can now find the Oni with the help of the friendly bandana-clad dog. Some visitors show up to attack the dog, and here's the thing. There might be something you don't know about me. There's a line that I draw with media that has dogs in it. Do not kill the dog. I don't care what the situation is. Killing the dog is a cheap way of getting the audience to care about something. Independence Day, the dog survives. American classic. Dawn of the Dead from 2004, that schlock, the dog survives. I've seen Pearl Harbor once, and you know what I remember? The dog survives. If you're gonna kill it off, just don't have it in there, okay? Be better, Hollywood. Obviously, based on that, the actions of these visitors infuriate me, so they are promptly dealt with. The Oni is happy to see another dog lover and entrusts us with his power. I head for the locker that KK mentioned might direct us to our next objective. I think we're finding Rinko, right? I don't know. I got a little sidetracked.
Thou shalt get sidetracked by bullshit every goddamn time.
There's a note in the locker for a girl named Erica, who Rinko was looking for. The note tells us to go to a specific apartment complex. We also learn that Erica is Weepy McGee's daughter. Very important. She wanted to join KK, Rinko, and whoever else was in their crazy crew. After playing hide and seek with a spirit, we continue to the apartment complex, and after cleansing the corruption in front of Rinko's apartment, we investigate. The cats aren't really telling us anything, so we use our spirit sight to figure out that one of Weepy's cronies took Rinko and her form and has been playing us the whole time. Who could have called this? KK. KK called it. Now we have to make it through this maze and try to find where Rinko and her fake went. Through a progressively trippy run, we managed to find her outside and cleanse her of Weepy's crony. Rinko is now free and contacts us through the phone booth. After our conversation, Rinko gives us more Torii Gate locations that we need to clear in order to get to the beam of light where Mari is. There's a new enemy worth mentioning, these demon snake mermaids that can swim under the ground, making them hard to hit and capable of surprising even the most diligent gamer. I am not one of those people, so I obviously hated these. I actually managed to get all my friends together for one great battle during my quest to cleanse the Torii Gates. I clear the gate on top of the apartment complex and head to multiple gates in the park in what's actually a pretty cool sequence. I like visiting these temples and seeing all the architecture. Because this is a Japanese developer, I'm hoping that this is a fairly accurate representation. Minus, the ghosts. Because we clear the gates in the park, we go ahead and run to the Pillar of Light, where Weepy is doing his ritual with my sister. Gross. KK mentions,
but every now and then, you still run into cases that just knock you flat on your ass.
Like a case that reveals that there is a definitive afterlife and spirits, both good and evil, and that spirit world is not only hostile, but can be manipulated by a guy in a mask.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
After pulling boulders apart and entering the shrine, we run through a cave to confront Weepy. Learning about his plot, it turns out he's trying to connect the worlds of the living and the dead in order to bring his wife back. That's why he's done all of this and is trapping the souls that we've been absorbing into our Kadashiros. So I have a problem with this. Erica, his daughter, was alive. She found out what he was doing and tried to stop him. Then he killed her and started using her body as a minion. He says,
I have but to beckon their souls back from beyond.
Erica already had a soul in her body, so why remove it just to get it back again? I get missing your wife, dude, but sacrificing your daughter for it? I mean, obviously he's willing to go to extremes, but still. Erica turns into a second boss battle. A naked cat spirit that takes KK away from me. There are plenty of arrows in the arena, but this is a stealth battle. Normally things like this take me a few times, but it's pretty easy to figure out where to hide and where to avoid the enemy. There's also this interior area that I don't think she has access to. I don't have to use the bow and wind up being able to just stealth my way through the battle, removing each one of her 3 tails. With KK back, we then decide not to go for any kind of stealthy attack and immediately announce our presence to Weepy. We're unsuccessful, of course, and a giant spirit is summoned after the ritual was finished. We're able to cleanse Erica's body, a small win in a situation where it seems we're always losing. On to Chapter 4, Contortion. We run outside and find there are multiple black giants, standing around Tokyo Tower. Pretty obviously our next goal. Rinko gives us a call, telling us to keep cleansing Torii Gates to find our next destination, and thanks KK for taking care of Erica. After opening the map, oh dear, I'm not even close to done. Starting my new spree of quests is a man who got cuts during a breeze. This apparently is from a ferret-like spirit with blades for arms called Kamaitachi. After sneaking, it's pretty easy to get its power. In the same forest, we find a spirit haunted by the sounds of banging in the woods. This sound is part of a ritual that killed this guy, and of course it involves a doll. After finding the evil spirit and a quick skirmish, we find out that the man had made fun of this woman's birthmark. Therefore, she cursed him. I get it. But we cleanse the doll and set the man's spirit free. Moving on, we get to cleansing a gate and find an old man who loves wells. That means we'll have to cleanse the wells of corruption. We need to cleanse one, then the other, before the corruption spreads. Even with the 3-minute time limit, I managed to take care of the job. At a gas station, we find a spirit that's being haunted by a doppelganger that's stalking her through the phones. After determining which is the evil one and fighting off the visitors, we deal with the mimic and set the other spirit free. I stumble across a spirit whose son went missing and is aware of KK. We could guess that this means that his son was in a club messing with spirits and rituals. His entire club vanished. So this spirit is hoping KK can figure out what happened. KK, for some reason, doesn't want to do this.
Come on, KK. We have to try. The man lost his son.
Okay.
In order to make it to the school, we'll have to keep cleansing more gates. During this, I find a new enemy that looks and acts like a Heartless. He's fast and pretty difficult to kill, especially on a small roof. This visitor is going to be an issue in the future, I'm sure. We arrive at the school and see it's covered in corruption that appears to be giants. You can see feet and appendages. Once we get close to the door, visitors show up to try and stop us, including our favorite demon mermaids. But they are unsuccessful and we clear the corruption in the yard. Upon entering the school, it's about as creepy as expected, but about to get worse. Because I've played Persona 5, I'm pretty familiar with Japanese school layouts, and quickly find the club room. After reading some documents, we find out that the club was trying to do a ritual involving 4 seals. We're also given a message on the chalkboard.
That sign can't stop me because I can't read.
KK translates for us, explaining that it says Hakano-san, a school legend that the students had apparently been trying to seal away. They were unable to do so, and now we have to take care of it. We have to find the 4 seals hidden around the school. It does seem like one of the students stayed behind and is trying to help us. I make sure to check on the pet turtles, who seem scared, but okay. To get the second seal, we're accosted by a teacher, bringing me back to my elementary school days. We're asked a series of questions. I answer incorrectly on the last question and die. You see, KK told me to
keep playing along.
I thought that meant to say I did know where she was. I fixed the error on my next try and convinced the teacher that I'm going to help them find their missing student. We see a creepy girl at the end of this hallway that damages me. The hallway is blocked by mannequins, one being a bit creepier than the others. I clear the corruption in the classroom to try to get by them, and oh my god! Yeah, this guy's following me now. If I break eye contact with it, it moves. I've dealt with enemies like this before in other games, and I always hate it. I try to close the door on it, but eventually it manages to break through. I'm looking for something in the library while this nightmare fuel chases me around. You can shoot at it to break it apart, but it will eventually recombine to continue to annoy you. I find what I'm looking for, though, and I'm now sent to the media room while still avoiding our new friend. Activating the screen in front of the room, we find another seal, and oh my god! Now we have to head to the roof. There's a huge portal up here. Not sure how I didn't see that before, and the creepy girl is now a giant. Across the roof, there are 4 mirrors that we cleanse with the seals that we found after fighting waves of visitors, including a visit by the heartless-looking guy who is now the bane of my existence. Now, I die because I didn't realize that these creepy ladies are able to rip KK away from me. So I'm forced to fight without him or draw him closer. I don't know what that means, so I die. Second time around, I'm sure to keep some fire available to take care of this final wave. And I cleanse the last mirror, sending giant creepy girl away and cleansing the school. KK discusses his family.
As far as they know, I'm dead. It's just better if I stay away.
not gonna see them?
There's no need. If I can stop him, I protect my family and the whole city. We'll save your sister, too. Isn't that enough?
His goal was to save the city, thereby saving his family. I get that. It doesn't seem like KK, A, was a real great guy to be around, and B, doesn't seem like a family man. We find the missing kid, who says there's still more to do. Ugh, now I see why KK didn't want to take this job. These are the kids that created the problem, and now we have to clean it up. These kids tried to do a ritual to grant their wishes. It instead summoned the evil spirit of Hakano-san. One of the club members, Mayoko, was taken over by Hakano, and everything else ensued. The boy tells us to look into the mirrors. Hakano-san tends to stay within them. So we head to the third floor bathroom.
Very good.
We blue skidoo into the mirror and come across another world. Hakano is here, and if we look at her, we get damaged. I'm able to find my way through the first maze and back into the real world. As we explore, we see a ghostly pair of pants stalking the hallway, and I've been looking for those pants, so we follow. Down the stairs to the staff room and the principal's office. Now again, I've played Persona 5, but are all schools in Japan really like this? There's another evil mirror in here, so we enter Hakano-san's world. I'm able to avoid her by staring at a wall, a technique that is ineffective on my toddler when I just want to use the bathroom in peace. We get past her ambush in this classroom and wait until she passes in the hallway. There are now multiple Hakano-sans we have to avoid. Once we get through the vents and climb a ladder, I get a little stuck in this room. I focus too much on clearing the corruption and neglect my slowly dwindling health. The next time around, I'm more cautious of my health, clear the corruption, and run out of the room the moment Hakano's back is turned, and hurry out the door through the mirror and into the principal's office. A large, oily spirit stalks through the hallway. We run after it. As we move through the school, we're blocked by desks this time instead of chairs, and find the final mirror. There's a phone and a cat shop here, convenient, obviously letting us know there's some sort of battle ahead. Through the hallway into my least favorite part of school, the gym. There's a fairly typical school spirit day happening here, and of course, I need to interrupt it. Hakano appears on the stage and begins summoning more enemies, and it really starts to bring me back to my school days. Now comes the final fight, a telekinetic active camo blob. It's certainly intimidating, as it's larger than the other visitors we've fought up to this point, but it throws a tantrum every time you hit it, disappearing and reappearing somewhere else on the battlefield. This isn't much of a problem, as you just have to pay attention to where it's blurry and you'll be able to find it. Once the blob is taken care of, we seal Hakano-san away. Talking to the spirits in the hallway, KK says,
I guess now is not the right time for a lecture.
Yeah, probably not, KK, because he's dead. The girl thanks us and they disappear into the afterlife, ending a very fun, very interesting side quest. Walking outside, we find a Kappa lurking in the school pool. We use our cucumber to lure it out, and we run to the pool house. But upon returning outside, we see we've been transported to another realm. We play a little cat and mouse with the Kappa. It eventually falls for our cucumber trap. After stealing its power, we're released and returned to the real world. After hunting down another sentient umbrella, and clearing another rooftop torii gate surrounded by ghosties, we run across a second-hand shop owner. He laments to us that he's found some items with history, including a cursed diamond. It is in a grave with the woman he sold it to, who apparently died in an accident. It's in the cemetery, surrounded by birds, that I've been deliberately avoiding. Turns out, I can't avoid it anymore. There are more ghosties here, and technically, these floating guys are the hardest to take out. Not so much the dudes wearing the sheets, because they barely have any health, but these pumpkin-headed losers. I can't stealth them, and they're very avoidant of my attacks. Rude. I die like twice. Seriously, this cemetery was harder than the last boss for me, and I don't know why. I'm only able to win by hiding out on top of this building. As with all visitors I come across, though, they are vanquished. After cleansing the diamond, a spirit exuding a lot of golem energy asks us,
Don't take my precious away.
She then exudes crystal hippie energy by claiming,
You don't understand. I've been talking to Jules.
and we're just like,
You're probably the best one for the job.
KK is such a hard guy to pin down. I wouldn't trust this woman around my children, but we'll let her hold on to the previously cursed artifact. I abandoned helping the shopkeeper any more than I already have and stalked the city for more umbrellas. I managed to stealth cleanse a Torii gate, and we gathered the goods before I'm able to make a quick getaway and deal with the visitors after. Rinko calls and asks us to help her with something. We return to the cherry blossoms that we cleansed before and run across Erica's psychic trail. Well, KK doesn't tell us who it is, but that's who it is, so spoiler alert, I guess. Her trail leads us past a camo blob, through a mini-mart, and right into a fight with a giant frozen yokai. So listen, I'm 99% sure that this is an inspiration for Frostlass, a Pokemon. I'm a huge Pokemon fan, if you don't know, and I think there's more than a few that are based on yokai. This is a tough battle, though. She can slow you down, and if she gets to you, it's pretty much game over. You need to stay away from the frozen ground that she lays out. She'll also bring up a little frozen shield. After getting beat up by her, I run into the mini-mart. So many flashbacks to my school days, and get her to go away. I regroup, and eventually I'm able to take her out because she gets stuck on a Honda Fit.
Stuff is new from Honda.
Erica left us a recording from Ed that we give to Rinko. She'll let us know if she needs anything else in the future, so good, I guess? Did we get what we came for? I return to my task of cleansing those gates, baby, on that open world grind. After cleansing a few gates, I meet a man who's concerned about the music that's in his neighborhood. A girl used to play the most beautiful music, and now it's creepy. KK speculates that this music has become corrupted. Fair enough. On the way, we help this Oni dog, protecting it from visitors and taking the Oni's power. We find the piano school and start our investigation. Turns out there was a prodigy that went to the school. Poor girl died, and now appears to be haunting the school with her rendition of Moonlight Sonata. We also find out a little bit about another pianist and composer who was the mentor of a child prodigy in the past. We find the girl sitting at the piano. She's been trying to play her song, but the music is corrupted. So, looking through the room, we find a portrait of Giovanni, the mentor I mentioned before, who's actually the guy that's cursing the music. After we cleanse him, the girl is able to play Moonlight Sonata again, and her spirit is free. Here I go cleansing again, clearing all the gates so that I can find out what the hell I'm supposed to be doing next. I don't know if you remember, but there's several spectral giants around a huge tornado in the middle of one of the largest metropolises in the world, so we should probably do something about it. Flying over to another graveyard, I don't know why we're walking right into these things. We meet a monk that tells us that this dragon mural has escaped. His request is for us to bring it back, which is perfectly normal and not at all strange. Returning to the main quest, we find another larger Torii gate that we need to cleanse. Once we get close, though, a spirit giant starts to head in our direction. This also brings out a bunch of visitors and puts us in the middle of a fight, ending off with my ex's sister, who I dispatch fairly easily. Us winning the fight, I guess, scares off the giant. KK now says there's no way we're going to be able to get through the tornado. Our souls would be ripped out of our bodies. So that's the end of the game and the world is doomed. Just kidding. KK has an idea that he's not going to share with us, right? We cleanse the gate and get the spoils, but we're not done with these gates. What did you think? We would ever stop cleansing Torii gates? A friendly dog shows us to a hidden raccoon, though, so maybe it's all worth it. I cautiously decide to avoid cleansing more gates and continue with my mission to find a way through the tornado. This leads us to a parking garage. After sneaking and blasting my way past visitors, we arrive at this workshop. Turns out Rinko has a motorcycle, but not just any motorcycle. A motorcycle created specifically for this exact situation, meaning it can get us through the tornado. There are some specialty items that are required. A replacement turbine wheel and fragrant underworld oil. Fragrant? Why? Ed conveniently knows what we're looking for and how to find it. We'll need to get a good look at the city, though. KK mentions a building as if I, the player, knows what the hell he's talking about, but It gives us a quest marker. Eventually, I return to the hunt for the dragon and stumble across it running into the cemetery. We chase it, fight some visitors, and cleanse it until we get to the final battle with this dragon. It's set pieces and interesting side quests like this where the game really shines. The angry dragon mural in the background watching me as I take on waves of enemies. The quality of the side quests in this game varies immensely, but stuff like this and the school as little instances and events that will happen without advancing the plot or the quest at all. It just makes this game feel more alive. Of course, we best all the enemies and return the dragon to the mural, allowing the spirit of the monk to move on. Mari's messages are starting to become more bleak as we return spirits back to the phone booth.
Don't worry about me, Akito. Just go.
I get it. We're what, 0 for 3 in trying to save her? To make myself feel better, I decide to go for a swim and take out a couple of trendy men to cleanse the gate in the middle of the pond. After a stroll through the park, I take care of another gate in the middle of town. This next temple and gate series is one of my favorites. It's multiple levels tucked into this little neighborhood. I don't know, this game really makes you feel like you're right there in the city. I just really feel that, and I can't put my finger on exactly why. It's just really well done. Anyway, I float onto this house and try my best to take out the creepy Miss Pac-Man from the roof, which proves to be much better for my sanity. Unbeknownst to me, there's one more hanging on one of the other gates that I need to cleanse. But that's that, and the fog is lifted. The kid from earlier that we played hide and seek with wants to play again. We'll find him up behind one of the shrines, hidden behind a locked door. Now we have to find the key. Upon speaking with this spirit, he tells us the crows have been stealing things and taking them to the roof. So, up on the roof, we find the key and back to the boy, but oh no, he's gone. We complete the quest as we get our spirit blob rewards. We find a mini torii gate down this alleyway and run into a long-necked lady yokai who we hunt down. There's another cursed cherry blossom tree that we must fix. So apparently there are people just burying bodies under these trees in the middle of the city. Unless I'm misunderstanding this entirely. Either way, we're successful. There's a building where a bunch of workers have been dying. It seems like they disturbed something they shouldn't have. Typical. Climbing through the building, I'm able to work my way through the construction site to the thing the workers disturbed. I don't understand why they disturbed it. If I were digging somewhere and found something like this, the first thing I would do is call the museum. Let those guys take on the curse, okay? You're just here to build a building. No one's paying you enough to take on a curse. They're not paying the museum people enough either, but if they don't know how to avoid a curse, they're not very good at their job, are they? KK tells me to smash the stone, which angers the spirit, and it sends us back in time to a samurai manor. We find that this guy is pissed because a servant betrayed him on the day of his daughter's wedding. That means we have to fight what I assume is his daughter? Elsa, I guess? I fail once, but I'm able to take her out on my second try, which sends us back to the present day, and we purge the curse on this building. Now, I need to find a way onto the roof of this building so I can get the fragrant underworld oil. When we make it up there, we see the tornado in the distance, and I have to ask, what is the rest of the world doing? What are the reports on the news? How far has this spread? Stop thinking about it. It's not important. Using the binoculars at the top of the building, we find a car that can provide the turbine and a weird-looking torii gate that will provide the fragrant underworld oil. Once we make it to the car, we find that the turbine won't fit and Elsa steals KK away. In the spirit realm again, I'm forced to use my bow, my least favorite weapon, to defend KK. I cut it close, but I am able to get him back. So we're back at square one without a turbine. Rinko gives us a call and says she uses parts from exotic cars and that KK should have known that. After more fighting and more cleansing, we stumble across a paranormal influencer who's just about as insufferable as you could imagine. Once we get to the apartment, we see this girl's a bit freaky. She has a giant straw doll, which is cursed, that she has been sleeping with on this filthy mattress. Cursed straw doll? Fine. Sleep with whatever you want. But if you have a dirty bed, then are you really ever clean? I can't do her laundry though, so we cleanse the closet, the bathroom window, and her living room window of watchful spirits. I am happy we get to leave this apartment because the thing of it is, she was calling all these spirits here to watch her. She says she'll see us later, but she's dead. So one of her followers is going to summon her. Will we have to purge her in a future game? Nope, because there probably won't be one. We find another raccoon and the little kid that bailed on our hide and seek game last time. We'll have to find him in an apartment building with 7 floors. But once we get on an elevator, we see that there is an 8th floor. Once we get up to it, this doesn't look right. So now I'm suspicious of you, Sky. There are spirits of lost children all throughout this forest. It seems like they've been drawn here by him. Anyway, we find him in this shack, but he runs off again. I have to do a little bit of platforming to get up to where he is. He runs again. After finding him behind a tree, he returns to the shack. Floating through the roof, we're able to find him and tell him to move on, basically. Why couldn't we do this earlier? It would have been a much better side quest if it turned out that the boy was an evil spirit or something. I don't know, for a 3-part quest, it wasn't that great. Moving on from that disappointment, we climb up to the purple Torii gate. It looks like this is leading somewhere into the underworld, which should be where you get fragrant underworld oil. Entering the gate, we're transported and make our way through visitors and corruption and up some roots to cleanse the gate at the base of this tree. After which, we're attacked, but I choose to run away. Something that's actually successful, so again, cowardice prevails. I see a side quest called Lost Dog, and as we've covered, I have a soft spot for dogs, so we immediately head to help him out. I am in the wrong for doing so because it turns out the lost dog is a person. And even worse, these guys are brothers. The older brother thinks that the younger brother is his dog. Gross. After dealing with the visitors, we cleanse the creepy older brother and set the younger brother free. Mari accosts us.
Just run, Akito. It's what you're good at. Just like you did with Mom and Dad.
It doesn't seem like Akito did. He gave Mari their rings. He stayed with Mari. I don't really understand what Mari is trying to do to Akito. I take a quick detour and help a yokai in this house before taking care of another cursed cherry blossom tree. I parkour and float my way up to the next Torii gate that hopefully this time will yield some fragrant underworld oil. Same deal as before, beat up some visitors, clean up a bit, finally discover a vial of oil. Grabbing it does send me down a trippy hallway where I'm forced into another Frostlass fight, but emerge victorious and am transported back to the shrine where I got the oil. The corruption is coming back, so we'll have to fight our way out of here again. There's a spirit talking about a building in this square. Apparently, there's a famous urban legend of a building that used to have a basement where a monster lady dressed in red lurks. All of this sounds like the doing of our ex's sister, so it's on us to figure out what's going on in the building. One of those wall yokai is blocking the path, so we remove it and enter the basement. After talking to a bunch of terrified spirits, we touch whatever this thing is, activating the red lady. That's right, it's our ex's sister, clothing red from the blood of her victims. This is an easy battle though, so once she's gone, her victims can finally rest. We run back to the subway station where one of our first missions was. We're able to take the turbine out of this sports car and we're ready to get back to the garage to fix the motorcycle. We find a distraught business owner who keeps having his employees quit on him. He blames a curse, but we'll find out that his policies were really bad. Each one is covered by corruption. A no overtime policy that just made people take their work home instead of getting paid for overtime hours. A young employee made manager through a review system when everyone is older than them. And the lack of privacy with the open office plan. Now, this assumes that the people who implement these plans in real life have the best intention. And maybe this guy does. But all of these things suck. Upon speaking with him, he seems like he gets the hint, but probably not. Back to the garage to fix up the bike, which, as established from the beginning, Akito's familiar. After getting on the motorcycle, there's no turning back now. We've entered into the final gambit of this game. Through the tornado we go, but we're attacked by one of Weepy's minions, the one using KK's body. And even though the motorcycle is ruined, we've made it through the soul-ripping wind. Our goal is the top of Tokyo Tower. On the way, we run into Rinko, sitting where she died. Her spirit is prepared to move on with her unfinished business behind her. She tells us to
live. Embrace your life.
And we fail to embrace her. Mama McGee is here to block our path and turns into a pretty gross arachnid creature. This is a fairly tough battle. Mama manages to kill me a few times, and it's certainly one of the most frenetic battles thus far. Her ground pound has 2 shockwaves, sometimes 1, rocks are falling from the ceiling, she can spit poison and shoot orange things from her butt. After a few tries, she's defeated, and we cleanse the body of Weepy's wife. Once we get to the bottom of the tower, we start hearing Mari accusing us of being selfish, which again, I still really don't get. KK says they're probably trying to mess with you. And it's like, who? Weepy and KK's body? KK admits he wasn't a good father or family man, something I called earlier. I get where he was coming from. I mean, no one else was preparing for this, right? In the end, he did the right thing, but he does still seem like a bit of an asshole. Weepy's being creepy over our sister and puts up a barrier to prevent us from stopping him. Speaking of barriers,
I have all the souls that I require. I will use them to shatter the barrier between life and death. Your sister will be the final piece, a foundation for a new age. You should be proud! Away from her! The fall of the barrier will presage the rebirth of the world. And then I shall create a new paradise, though modest it will be. A place where the souls of my wife and daughter will shine for all eternity. How you will! I've just come upon a wonderful idea. I shall create a paradise for this girl as well. Such a willful spirit as hers is a rarity indeed. Perhaps she will even lead this new world. A new Mary for a new age. No. A new Eve.
So, gross. But Weepy does bring up a good point. We're not sure if Mari still wants to remain alive. We don't know what pain she's in after her injuries. Maybe she wouldn't mind passing away. Destroying the barrier between life and death is a stretch, but there could be a reason why she doesn't want to keep living.
Enough of your delusional bullshit!
A giant shows up in front of the window and breaks the barrier, eating Weepy and Mari, and leaving Akito to have a bit of a crisis. KK reacts proportionately.
Get up or I'll ditch you for good!
KK stops strangling Akito long enough to talk some sense into him as we're brought into our last battle with KK's body. For the most part, this battle is the same as our previous run-in with him, dodging his attacks and breaking his shield when he uses it. In phase 2, he'll start using his ground pound attack again, along with summoning tornadoes and homing wind bursts. Because I'm able to get my timing down, I am able to defeat him with only 1 death. KK and Akito set KK's body free. And of course, KK has to ruin the moment.
Knew I lived fast, but I never thought I'd be offing myself.
After we Tarzan into the abyss, we walk through this door and into a hospital, and through Akito's childhood home. We're walking through Akito's memories of his interactions with his sister in the past. Through them losing their mother, and also losing their father, Akito seemed like he was doing his best. I'm not sure he has to feel as guilty as he obviously does. We walk up past High Hrothgar to the throat of the world and find ourselves in front of a big door. Using spirit fingers, we force the door open. Weepy is being creepy as usual and uses force lightning on Mari when we just asked to speak with her. He summons visitors which prevent us from getting to Mari. He's successful in getting the door to the underworld open, but things seem to be not going to Weepy's plan. red flowers start blooming and the visitors start disappearing. Mari is apparently quite powerful, as it seems she's the one doing this. After dispatching Weepy to the underworld, we catch her and are finally reunited.
I'm so glad I could finally tell you.
We're obviously not in the mood right now, but Weepy is very rude. He returns from the underworld spouting more BS, and man, I am just not having it, or this whale beast he turns into.
This is the end of the line.
The boss battle involves destroying a core, then destroying visitors, rinse and repeat until... our parents' rings glow, transporting us to a serene forest. The visages of our mother and father are there, and our mother opens a path to the world of the living. I want to say the message felt a little heavy-handed. Live and enjoy your life or something, which is an interesting message when juxtaposed against the death and afterlife imagery. But it was a message that was said, not represented, or at least I didn't feel like it did. That being said, the final moments of this game really did hit me, and it was a good emotional send-off. We get our final objective, and it's fitting for the core message of this game. Keep moving forward. KK tells us that he wants for us to find his wife and kid and tell them what he did. And then he's gone. Akito walks through the light. The end. So what happened next? What is the world like? The underworld is real and proven, and hundreds of thousands of people have disappeared, leaving only their clothing. Globally, right? Like, what was the impact? Was there one? Was it covered up? Don't worry about it. We'll never know. And you want to know why we'll never know? The absolute rubes over at Microsoft thought it would be a good idea to shut down Tango Gameworks. They had a Ghostwire 2 in the pipeline, and that might have convinced me to buy an Xbox. Now, never gonna happen. Yeah, the game was like a 7 or 8 out of 10, and I think most reviews I saw were too harsh. It's a well-built, open world game with character and charm and elements of horror melded perfectly with the atmosphere of a completely abandoned Shibuya. The story is weird, and I leave with a bunch of questions. Maybe if I had read more documents, I would have gotten a better picture. I doubt it though. There are plenty of other games where their best iteration is the second one. Mass Effect 2 and Dead Space 2 come to mind. But I'm sure you can think of a game where a sequel surpasses the previous game. Because when you invest in creative people over time, they'll pay dividends. And those sequels, while you could argue they were cash grabs, they enable developers to do more and make things better and learn from their first attempt. I can't imagine what would have been possible if corporate strings weren't being pulled over at Xbox. It's sad, really, because after finishing the game, I would have really liked for there to be something more. As for playing the game on hard, child's play. Not even a challenge. Here I thought I'd be getting my butt kicked, but no. Now, Tartari, if I had any guts, would have been a real blind challenge. That difficulty makes you stay at level 1 the whole time, never being able to upgrade your skills. I've learned from my mistakes, and all blind runs in the future will now be done at the highest difficulty, and I might revisit Tartari another day. If you've made it this far, hopefully you've liked what you watch. Please like and subscribe if you do, because I have so many more videos on the way. Did you like this game? Do you want me to play it on Tartari? Do you think Xbox are a bunch of rubes? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to support more, you can go to Aliens in the Doghouse Patreon, where we have all kinds of bonuses and extras for you there. Thank you so much for watching. Love you.